Welcome back to the Bak'n Show. In today's episode, we're going to go over the 5x5 and the two 4x4s. It's been quite some time since y'all seen them. It's been about a month or so. I've been gone, but I'm back now. Surgery went great. So let's get into the planks right quick. Over here in the 5x5, if y'all remember, right before I had the surgery, this was all the way back to November the 18th. We're around December the 16th today. We flipped all three of these tents in a flower at the same time. This particular tent, if you remember, we flipped them to flower on November the 15th. This particular tent here, we had problems with the timer, and we thought we were in flower, but the timer was broken, so we weren't. So when November the 18th came around, put a new timer on, tried the same thing, and I had a problem with that timer also, but I didn't know we were having a problem with that timer because I was gone and I was having the surgery. I had the surgery. So when I finally got back downstairs again a week after the surgery, I realized this tent never flipped to flower, and the light had been on for a week straight, daytime and night, 24 hours straight. And what I did do during that time, right before I had the surgery, I turned on the UV. The UV was already on. The IR and then the deep red weren't on. You only use those in flower. So I flipped those lights on, thinking that the tent was in flower. And during those 2 weeks, pretty much, that I thought were in flower, they weren't. They were getting the IR during that time and the deep red. So that caused the plants to stretch. In addition to, it was vegging a little longer. That's why this canopy is so full. These plants on this side over here have been super cropped. And if you can look down here, this knuckle here, this one here, right next to it, quite a few of these branches through here have been super cropped. Some of the taller ones there were super cropped and they turned themselves back up, even though I bent them up under the trellis net. We have 2 layers of trellis net in this tent, but as you can see, the tent is full. The strain in here these are the Mighty Hoes, and I told y'all about this. The breeder, Action Jackson, told me these plants stretch, but I wasn't expecting them to stretch this much, but they stretched and they're doing fantastic. As you can see, this 5x5 canopy is completely full, front to back, left to right. There's no empty squares nowhere, so this is going to be a hell of a harvest. But this tent is 2 weeks behind the other 2 tents, and we'll take a look at those in just a second. But these are doing fantastic. This tent here, I believe, is in week 2. We're going into week 3 of flower. And the other 2 tents are in week 5. So I believe, yeah, that's right. They're going into week 5 and this one's going into week 3. As you can see, the bud sets are suddenly developing here nicely. And the leaves are definitely doing, the plant is doing fantastic, because as you can see, the leaves are all praying up to the light. Now let's take a look up here at the light. Right now, matter of fact, all of them are on right now. No, they're not. But you got your main light on. This is the deep red. This is the UV. You can barely see it's on, but this is you see that blue light there? That's the UV light. That light only comes on for 10 minutes every hour that the main light is on in this tent. This the deep red here, this stays on the same amount of time as the regular light. The 12 hours on, 12 hours off. And this light over here, which is the IR, the infrared light, this only comes on 15 minutes before the lights come on and 15 minutes after the main light goes out. That causes the plants to wake up faster and go to sleep faster. But that's what this 5x5 looks like this week. As you can see, the canopy is dynamite. I just did a reservoir change on her. Actually, I'm finishing it up this morning because I had to wait because I was missing some nutrients. So I had to order some, and Amazon delivered it last night, so I hadn't finished doing that reservoir. So I'm gonna finish that up in a minute and then turn the system back on. But this is the AirCube ebb and flow system from Growace, and as you can see, this system is fantastic. You see the plants are growing, dynamite, full, the light is fantastic, and in the coming weeks we should see how well this light does in this 5x5. I'm expecting at least 2 to 3 pounds out of this tent here. But that's all I have for you in this tent this week. Let's take a look at the 4x4s. Now over here in the first 4x4, remember this used to be the behind the curtain tent. It used to be another tent right here. Now it just sits the Reservoir. Over here, these are all the Mighty Hose, another strain from Action Jackson. And these here aren't doing as well as the other tents, and I'm gonna explain why. This is the autopot system, and each one of these each one of these phenos, they're all the same strain. You can't treat them the same. As you can see, this particular pheno here got tall and lanky, and the other 3 stayed rather short. The one back here in the corner, which is really torn up, had a cow mag deficiency. It was not, for some reason, it was taking the nutrients from the Reservoir worse than the other 3 plants. If you can see, the other 3 plants aren't going through nowhere near what that plant there is going through. And there's really nothing I could do about it. I have changed the Reservoir a couple times, flushed the plants out, trying to go that route to see if that would help it, but it hasn't. Now we do have some dying leaves on this one here, which it didn't have before, but I did just change the Reservoir again on here. So this grow here has definitely been a challenge, but this one plant here in the front, this would definitely be a keeper. Now and again, we're doing a pheno hunt with these, and if this is how the plants are going to grow, these particular phenos, I won't grow these again. The other 3, maybe that one back in the back don't look too bad. It does have some yellowing leaves, but this one right here in the front is a winner. So I like how it grows, the internodal spacing, the structure. Remember, this is week 5, just started week 5, and look at how the plant is growing. And the smell is dynamite. But I like this particular pheno here. This is pheno number 2. This would definitely be a keeper. I'll definitely be running this one back. Now that one back there in the corner, that's pheno number 3. There's nothing I can do with that one there. I don't want to take the chance of trying to run that back again and go through this same mess, because if that's how I was going to handle the watering system autopot, I don't know if I want to go through that again. Now we got 6 phenos of this, and I'm gonna show you the other 2 phenos that are back in the laundry room in just a second. But out of the 4 plants here in this tent here, I would run these 3 backs, phenos number 1, 2, and 4. But looking at them, number 2 is definitely a keeper to me. The other ones, so-so. But again, I love the structure, the smell. It's dynamite, but it just stayed kind of squat, and they went through the problems. That, like I said, number 3 back there in the corner is definitely a no-no. I'm not going to run that one back again, because I don't know. It's like it has a potassium lockout, cow mag problems. I'm not sure, or is it just the autopot system itself that's causing the problem? And then the other ones are doing great. So again, these 3 here probably get ran again, but that number 3, definitely not. And this is week 5 of flower of these Mighty Hose. So, not the Mighty Hose, Simple Jacks. These are Simple Jacks. Let's take a look at the other 4x4 and see how those plants are growing. All right, in here in the laundry room, in this 4x4, we have 2 Simple Jacks. This one here, this one here. These are phenos number 6. And that's pheno number 5. And the Mighty Hose, this is pheno number 5, and that's pheno number 6. These were the last 2 of each one of those strains that we're running. Now this is under my drip system, and these plants here are doing great. We did have a little deficiency going on, as you can see, but I wasn't watering them enough. But I upgraded the feeding, and since then, we've had 0 problems. But look how great these plants are growing, all 4 of them. Now the 4x4 we were just looking at, the simple jacks, the Thenos 1 through 4. Here's the sisters of those, this one here and this one here. And look how well they're growing in here compared to how the other sisters are growing, under the autopot. So that kind of makes me kind of reluctant not to kill them all off and probably give them another chance. Maybe switch them over into this tent here and try to run them in here and see if it's the system that's causing the problem there. Because it's kind of weird how these plants here and even the 5x5, how well those plants are doing, but the autopot system is kind of sucking right now. But in here, these are all in week number 5 also. All of them are doing fantastic. Definitely could use a little defoliating in here. I didn't use a trellis net in this one here, and I didn't plan on using one. Just to see how they would grow. Do they need the support? But so far so good. They kept their nice size. I didn't keep the light drop down on top of them. There's still plenty of space between the bottom of the light and the top of the canopy. That's about 20 inches. And right now, the light is on about 70%. 80%, excuse me, I did move it up. I won't go no higher than that right there, because in the past, I pushed it up to 100% and realized it wasn't even necessary to run it that high, because it didn't do nothing but cause more stress to the plants than anything else. But as you can see, the structure of the plant is beautiful here. Internodal spacings are nice and tight, so you know you're going to get nice thick buds in all 4 of these plants. They're smelling great. They're doing fantastic. So I have 0 complaints in this tent here. So this is tent number 1 of the 4x4s, and then the tent number 3 is the 5x5. Those tents there are doing dynamite. That last tent we showed you, the 4x4, that's my tent number 2. It's looking a little rough in there. But yeah, that's what the plants are looking like this week. Just a little heads up, giving you a look at them since last time y'all seen it, it's been about a month. But from here on out to the end, we'll definitely have monthly updates like we normally have. Now that I'm back up and I'm in good shape again. But that's what the plants look like. They need to be fed one more time. I mean, not one more time, fed today because they're looking a little light. And the watering system, let me see what time it is. The watering system doesn't come on for another hour. That's why. So, yeah, definitely use some water. But yeah, these plants are doing great. No complaints whatsoever. Definitely will get in here and do a light defoliation. Don't want to go too heavy with these because they're so deep in the flower. We don't want to cause any problems with worms or anything like that. So we'll just take off a few of these bigger leaves here, like this one here, just to open up the canopy a little bit down into here. On all 4 of the plants, they're the same way. Just take away a few, not many, maybe 10 to 20 leaves per plant, and that should open each one of them up pretty well. This one here in the back look like it's going to do the best in here because this is thickening up really, really nice. And that's one of the simple jacks. Hell of an aroma too. But yeah, like I said, this is all we have for you. Oh, correction, let me stop. Let me let you look at my chart that I told you at the end of each one of these videos. From here on out, I'll let you look at the calendar to see where we're at and what we're doing. Today is the 16th. We don't do anything again this week until the Wednesday when we do our IPM treatment. And the only thing getting the IPM now is just tent number 3, and that's the 5x5. Because everything else is deeper in the flower and they don't need any IPM sprays now. With the 5x5, I'll spray them one more time. This is probably the last IPM for those plants there. And let me, matter of fact, I can get rid of this now because it definitely won't need it after this week here. They won't get any more IPM treatments. And as you can see, the recharge, we stay on top of that for tent 1, this one here, and tent number 2, the one we're having a problem with. Those are the only 2 to get the recharge. And y'all heard that before. And the reason why, just in case we got any new viewers, the recharge tents are just 1 and 2. And the reason why, because the medium is, the cocoa is 50% cocoa, 25% earthworm castings and 25% of perlite. With that mixture there, I've been giving them the recharge to help out with the breakdown of the earthworm castings. And the earthworm castings need the sugar, and the recharge has it in it. So those are the reason why those two get it. The 5x5 is just all cocoa, nothing else added to that. And with that, we just use strictly the FloraFlex nutrients. In this case, matter of fact, this is one of the new bags we just got in. This is the FloraFlex B1. We added the B2, that's what I'm waiting for. The B2 will come in today. And this is the bulky B. We're using that now. And in about a week or so, we'll be flipping over, excuse me. We'll get rid of the bulky B and we'll be switching over to the full tilt for the weeks 6 and 7. And then the week 8, we'll just be flushing the plants out. But this the full tilt is just a bloom booster and it works great. But yeah, that's what this week's episode is looking like. Matter of fact, let me give you one more thing off the calendar up here, over here on my reservoirs, and let you see what they're. But I'm feeding the plants right now. And tent number 1, that's the tent we were looking at right here. 25-gallon reservoir. Then now the reservoir itself is 32 gallons, but I've only been using 25 gallons of it. And the reason why, the plants didn't. The reservoir stayed there too long. When I first set it up with the whole 30, I used 30 gallons at the time. 30 gallons was just too much to just let sit, because the plants were only getting fed at the time once or maybe twice a day, and it just wasn't using up the reservoir. So the reservoir pretty much for 2 weeks, it took 2 weeks to run it out. And that's too long because the pH started fluctuating, the EC started dropping on it. So from now on, I just kept each one of the reservoirs at 25 gallons. And the 25 gallons only last 7 days, and then we swap them out. Over here, the Power SI and the CalMag. We did make a change to that. I was adding that to the reservoirs, but after this particular week here, and the reason why I'm stopped adding it to the reservoir, because it caused the reservoir to start stinking. And I think that's going anaerobic. And so from now on, what I do, the Power SI and the CalMag, I'll mix those up in a separate batch, and I'll hand water that into the system. And don't put that in the reservoir. And I noticed that we didn't get the foul smell coming from the reservoirs anymore once we started doing that. So Power SI and the CalMag are done manually through my pitcher right here. Each one of the plants gets about a half a gallon of it when I do hand water them in. So this is roughly a gallon. Now down here, the B1 and B2, we got 1.5 grams per gallon, and we got a 25 gallon reservoir, so that puts us around 37.5 grams of the B1 and the B2. Root drip, that's what you put down in your system, and it helps keep all that salts, cleans them out, and keeps the salt buildup from building up and causing problems. So we get 1 milliliter of that per gallon, so we get 25 mLs of that per reservoir. Where we at? That was it. And over here in tent number 1, it's only getting fed once a day now for 30 minutes, and it comes on at 11 a.m. Tent number 2 is kind of the same thing with the ebb and flow system, the Growace system, AirCube. Once a day at 11 o'clock, and twice a day. The first one is at 11 o'clock, and that's for 15 minutes. And then at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, it comes on again for another 15 minutes. The other 4x4, the autopot system, if you're aware of the autopot system, you don't water those, it waters itself. It only, once the water runs out of the system, it automatically refills itself. So you don't have to deal with anything with that there. But other than that, like I said, the IPM, they're done with these plants here so far in the flower. You don't put anything, no IPM sprays or anything like that on these. Now the foliar spray, for the veg. Now, Floraflex have a foliar spray, and you use this. This particular one is for flowering with the bloom cycle. You only use this weeks 1, 2, I think possibly 3, maybe just 1 and 2. But the other one that you have, this one here, the veg, you use this all the way through veg until you flip the flower. So I do also do the foliar sprays, and that's another supplement for the plants. But other than that, that's it. But like I said, that's all I have for you on this week's episode. It's good to be back. Everything is doing great. I'm debating, am I going to start the seeds for the next run in the coming days or not? If I do, I'll let y'all know on the next video. But that's all I have for you in this week's video. If you like what you saw, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, share, and subscribe. And until the next one, stay baked.